KPI is a key main performance indicator that tells you the health of your company. You should not have more than 5 to 10 of these. Okay. If you have 12 of KPIs and ops and 12 KPIs and sales, and you don't have KPIs.
Welcome back to the Culture Base podcast. I'm Dustin. He's Blake. We're the Culture Base. And today we're going to talk about measuring success with the king of all TLAs, setting effective KPIs for your team. Before we get into that, I want to remind you that the Culture Base is here to help leaders know what they're about, show where they're going, and develop a scalable team to get them there. You can find us on all social media platforms, or at least the good ones, at the Culture Base, BASE, and you can find us online at theculturebase.com. While you're there at theculturebase.com, pick up our free ebook, the Scalability Playbook. It's completely free for you. Proven methods for building high performance teams. 5-star reviews are rolling in, and we highly suggest that you take advantage of that. All right, let's get into today's episode because I think there's a lot to cover here with KPIs, or key performance indicators. Yeah. So let's start painting the problem here with what stands in our way for measuring success here with these KPIs.
Yeah. So one of the things, and Dustin and I were talking right before this, and I was just like, one of my biggest frustrations is how much KPIs has just become like a businessese word, like synergy and like those types of things, and basically Alec Baldwin words, right?
News synergy. Does that sound like news energy? Anybody else?
but it's turned into this thing that isn't the thing. Okay. And we are starting to mix the idea of KPIs with the word metric. Not good. Okay. Because now we've lost at the heart of what a KPI is. KPI is a key main performance indicator that tells you the health of your company. You should not have more than 5 to 10 of these. Okay. If you have 12 KPIs and ops and 12 KPIs and sales, and you don't have KPIs, okay, key performance indicators, this is crazy, watch this, are made up of performance indicators. Okay. Performance indicators for a division are made up of metrics. Okay, so a metric builds a performance indicator. A performance indicator works together with a bunch of other performance indicators to give us a key performance indicator. So for me and my team, our labor efficiency, and we're electricians, our labor efficiency is a key performing indicator that it tells us the health of our company because it affects our billing, it affects what we have to pay out, it affects everything. So it's a key performance indicator. That key performance indicator may break down to my team on what they do, and we'll talk about this a little more here in a little bit, but on a certain phase of their work or a certain aspect of their job, or this job and this job have that performance indicator that work together to get me to that KPI. But understanding that we're looking for a few things that I can look at quick and see, yeah, that's a key performance indicator. Knowing certain percentages of gross profit, how efficient we're doing, or net profit, how well we're using our resources after our efficiency. Those are good things to see healthily. But they're at the end of the day, you just need to have a few of those to know how you're doing and what to do to affect that. And if it's hurting, you don't go, our efficiency is bad. Then you go, let's drive down. What performance indicators are hurting our key performance indicator? And then you start going a little Sherlock Holmes and getting into it.
I love it. So some problems that we're facing here with key performance indicators that most leaders run up against when they're trying to measure success here. There are a few of them that we want to list out for you here. Some roadblocks for you that could be are setting irrelevant or misaligned KPIs. We've been talking a ton about vision and goals and where we're headed and scalability and sustainability and all these things the past couple of weeks. But if your KPIs are either irrelevant or misaligned, then you're going to struggle to hit the goals that you're trying to hit. Secondly, there's if you have any kind of difficulty in tracking or measuring these performance indicators, then you're not really going to understand where you're at on them. So there's usually a broken system or a lack of a system in developing. There's either a broken system or a lack of a system in tracking and measuring these KPIs. There's also a real issue with setting. Leaders are just notorious for this. Setting unrealistic or unachievable targets. Nothing will demotivate a team more than setting unrealistic or unachievable targets. You need to inch your way there. I know you want to go, but sometimes these KPIs, these quarterly KPIs, right, need to be quarterly and not weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that really, like, obviously that lack of clear communication and understanding of what KPIs has been the biggest culprit of all of that, right? Mm-hmm. It's not knowing what you need to target. Now, as we dive into like, what do we do with this? We've got to align our KPIs with our goals. So if your KPIs are all about just making money, but your goals are about changing the world, there's a problem. You need to figure out the right way to align a KPI with that. If it's about having the healthy team to operate in such a way that we do customer service better than anyone else, and you don't have some metric or key performance indicator metric that you are following that says, here's how healthy our team is, you're not aligned. Okay. You're not aligning your KPI, key performance indicator, with your organizational goal.
Yeah.
Gotta align those two. You got to make these KPIs understandable, or what we like to talk about anytime you're giving information or goals, got to make them SMART goals, right? You need to make it understandable that it's specific. Okay. That anybody who says, you're going to simplify your KPI of saying, well, our KPI is efficiency. Okay, cool. I mean, specifically. What is the actionable aspect of that? Like, how do you know that the right actions are moving towards that KPI? Can't do that. It's not smart. Okay. We talk about not just smart goals, it's smart expectations. Now we're even bringing smart into the idea of KPIs, which is a constant. Are we being specific? Do we understand this thing well? Okay. We got to involve our team members when we're setting this KPI. Okay. When we say, hey, here's what we're doing, here's what we believe identifies who we are as a company. One of the best things to do is get outside of you being laser focused on the trees and ask the rest of everybody else, is this aligned with who we are? Is this aligned with what we are going towards? What do you think we should do here? And I would even say, like, involve your team members in that, but involve other people too who don't even know you, or your organization rather. Hopefully they know you. Don't share too deep, but it is important to get that kind of feedback. Otherwise, you're just going to do what you think is right, which tends to be wrong.
Yeah. And just like all good leadership, a solution here is to know that nothing is concrete, that you can always adjust things. So you need to be regularly reviewing and adjusting your KPIs. I would probably suggest, personally speaking, quarterly is a good time to review those KPIs. If you're reviewing them every single week, it can get exhausting, right? But quarterly is a good, like, hey, it's not too long, it's not too short, a good time for us to review and adjust any KPIs that need to be reviewed and adjusted. And lastly, a solution here for these effective KPIs is to communicate them clearly and frequently. We talk over and over and over again about communication being clear and frequent. Clear and frequent. You need to ingrain that into your mind. These KPIs need to be clear and communicated frequently. Clear and frequently. How can you expect results or progress when people don't understand what it is that they're trying to achieve? So these KPIs, I kind of look at them. There's more like director of ops are probably super into these, right?
Yep.
Then a lot of CEOs are going to be like, it's too detailed for me. That's fun. But at the end of the day, these KPIs, yes, can be a bit micro, but it's these micro steps that are going to get you the big results that you're asking your team for. So communicate KPIs clearly and frequently.
Yep. And part of this, as we get into these action steps, and I'm going to bounce back and forth for like leaders and for team members on this, because I think a lot of these types of things are really aligned additively, right? So when we talk about these KPIs, being able to have some kind of brainstorm together as a group where you're saying, all right, what are the KPIs we're going for? And what do we think those performance indicators and those metrics before look like? And you're getting everyone involved in this. And for example, one of the things, and we'll talk about this in an upcoming episode, and we really want to dive into this because it's high on everybody's mind, is how do I make sure I've got a certain percentage of A players? And obviously every CEO is like, oh, I want 100%. Great. But let's settle for 90. Like, that's great. So we want A players. That is part of our, if we're saying, hey, here's our goal, here's what we want to hit. And you hear a voice speak out from your leadership and you need this, or you hear it from your team members who says, we can't do that with the people we have. Whoa, that's heavy. Well, what do we need to be doing? We need to get to A players. We need to identify what that is. We need to figure out how we get a certain percentage of that. That doesn't seem like a key performance indicator. 100% is. Okay. So for us, it's like, does that align with where we're going? Yeah, we want to go to this bigger picture. Part of that is our percentage of A players. Well, that's coming out of constant conversation in these brainstorming sessions. Okay. Being able to have those kind of things and hearing from your team members, and team members speak up in such a way that you're saying, okay, hold on, time out. I see what you're saying. I'm a little nervous saying this, but I don't think we can do it if we don't have these resources. Cool. Well, then maybe a metric or a performance indicator that hits our key performance indicator of a gross profit percentage of this is that we have the right equipment and we're being held back. You're right. Why don't we put up a push for our PIs, our performance indicators, that we have a percentage of equipment that is operationally like good at this level? We need it. A lot of organizations will call that OEE at time, overall equipment effectiveness. Okay, good. We need to increase that in order to have this. And so a team member's voice is now bringing that to the equation.
Yeah. And I'll say too, I think some younger leaders or maybe some newer organization owners or founders are probably listening to this going, well, I don't have any performance indicators, much less key performance indicators. So maybe a simple action step for you is to break away with your team, or if it's not a team and it's just you right now, you're a solopreneur, just break away and be like, all right, what are some performance indicators that I know that we can look at and say, okay, yeah, we're on the right path. We're inching closer and closer towards the goal here. And then from that, whip out the highlighter and go, okay, well, really, these are the most key performance indicators than any of the rest of them. So I just, in my mind, I hear some leaders listening to this going, well, I don't even have PIs yet, much less KPIs. Maybe you just, an action step for you at the end of today's episode is just sit down and mind dump some PIs for your team. Yeah.
And so taking that, tracking those metrics, coming up with your metrics, your PIs, and your KPIs. And the only way to track it is to create a good dashboard for the team, for your leaders, for everyone involved. If you can't come up with those things, then we're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to have clarity. We're not going to have vision. We're not going to have the ability to have feedback loops on this, which I highly suggest. So create your metrics, create your performance indicators, create a dashboard. Once you've done those things and put them in front of everyone, then start scheduling those regular meetings to review, but also to adjust as we need to.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about here with KPIs, Blake, before we wrap up?
No, just everyone have a voice. Everyone have a voice. Take a risk, take a chance, and push.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so good. Get out there, take a risk, take a chance, and push today with your KPIs. It will make a difference in your long-term scalability or success. If you need help defining your KPIs, we would love to talk to you. Reach out to us at theculturebase.com. We can come alongside you and your team to help you figure out what's most important and develop strategies to get you there. Next time on the Culture Base podcast, we're going to be talking about how to navigate change. There's always change happening. If change isn't happening, then you're not growing. So how do you navigate through those things as a leader? We're going to talk about that and how it affects your culture next time on the Culture Base podcast. Have a great week.